everyone, Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you, as always, for listening to our content. But for more in-depth coverage on the Indiana Hoosiers football, basketball, and recruiting news, go to thehoosier.com On3. Now with On3 and great national writers like Ari Wasserman, Andy Staples, and Steve Wiltfong for football. Pete Nakos, Jamie Shaw, and Joe Tipton's constantly breaking stories on the basketball side. And the local coverage from Alec Lasley, Kyler Staley, and Zach Browning. You can catch something new every day at thehoosier.com. Go there. Sign up today.
To Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world,
pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Oh. Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
I saw somebody kind of put this out yesterday, and Heath is putting it up. Says, who is getting hung up on IU having only white guys? First of all, they have 4 guys. So chill on 4 out of the 15. Pete Nakos, I'm on 3, jumping in and joining us now. Pete, I know you heard that last part. I'm trying to stay away from that kind of stuff, but I happened to see somebody post this yesterday. I see a pattern here, and I'm like, dude, they've got 3 guys out of the portal out of a potential 15-man roster with 1 incoming recruit. Just chillax on who they got. I'm like, it's crazy. It's like any single little thing, boy, people will find something that I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yep, exactly.
How have you been, sir? Appreciate you joining us, by the way.
I'm good, Jim. Thanks so much for joining on 3 too.
Absolutely. What a great partner On3 is. Just such incredible guys like yourself, breaking stories. Joe Tipton as well on the basketball side. Jamie Shaw, great group of guys, and on the football side as well. But we're talking hoops right now, and that's what Indiana people care about.
Yeah.
Was it Lamar Wilkerson that you were talking about yesterday?
Yeah, I think Indiana's trending right now for Lamar Wilkerson, but Florida obviously just won the national championship last night, and hearing that they're going to try to, make a case to get involved in that recruitment as well. But when I wrote that yesterday, I really liked where Indiana's at.
How has that changed in 12 hours?
No, I don't think it's changed, but I do think from what I understand, Florida is going to try to make an effort to get involved as Todd Golden now tries to approach the offseason. But I think that Indiana definitely has a leg up just because they've been recruiting him so much to this point.
Yeah, and I was going over Florida's roster mainly earlier, and I've asked people, I go, how many of these guys had you ever heard of before this season, especially?
Yeah, exactly.
Where you're paying attention. These are guys that were not these top portal gets or this, that, and the other thing. Todd Golden had never won an NCAA game.
Yeah.
So people get hung up on every little thing, and they magnetize small details. And I'm like, just relax, man. Let it happen. The guy hadn't won a single game. He wins 6 in a row. He'll take 6 in a row over 6 spread out over 6 years anytime.
Who knew about Walter Clayton before this year? I mean,
my God.
He was fun to watch at Iona, but I mean, it's a different level.
And that's why people, when you see guys come up, like whether it's Reed Bailey or Lamar Wilkerson or any of the other guys that Indiana has looked at so far that are Connor Enright, people, I'm like, dude, different system. You cannot compare. It's not apples and oranges is what it is. It's the same game, but it's not. It's a different team, different style, different coach, different league. All of that stuff matters. And there's a reason Darren DeVries is getting certain guys right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think the other thing too, with all of this is it's hard to step in right now and where Darren DeVries kind of stepped in and you have to deal with the portal right away. You don't really get a chance to breathe. And I'm well aware that that's a plus side of being a head coach in college basketball at a high major level, but it's also a lot to try to put together a roster on the fly. I really like the Reed Bailey pickup. That wasn't an easy one too. Ohio State was offering some serious money behind the scenes. And then you look at Lamar Wilkerson here, and I mean, he averaged 20.5 points per game. He comes from Sam Houston State. I really like what DeVries is doing to this point. And we'll see how the Wilkerson recruitment kind of ends.
From what you've seen recently in the past with Darren DeVries, we kind of know his style, more perimeter oriented, more spacing, guys that are athletic and long, not kind of anti-Purdue is what I compare it to, as we see Matt Painter going right back to that well with those bigs he keeps pulling in. But this is not your grandpa's Indiana team. Especially not what they've seen in the last decade or plus or so. This team should be more up and down, more perimeter shooting, less paint play. The paint play will probably come more from offensive rebounds than it will from set plays.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. And Wilkerson kind of backs up that theory too, right? He's a lengthy guard who, he averages 4 rebounds a game and everything, but he also isn't a big man. And I think that also sheds some light on how expensive it is to get a big man out of the portal, right? Like they don't grow on trees, and the ones that are available come at a really high premium price. So adding some guards can be a little easier sometimes than trying to go get like 2 really good big men. And I guess it's kind of the nature of the portal, and then also what Darren DeVries wants to build.
Yeah, and the money itself, crazy.
Yeah.
If you could just look at the last 2 years, I know it's doubled each time over year, doubled, and I think it more than doubled from last year to this year, maybe 1.5 times, which is only making these guys happier. I understand that. Yeah, but it's also kind of leading to the Chris Jenkins of the world, who is now suing the NCAA for, back payments, and everybody wants their piece. Yeah. And I'll be honest with you. I think he's making a smart move because he's going to sue the NCAA. Winner, you won. Thank you very much for playing. It's like nobody loses to the NCAA in court. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this one, so Chris Jenkins isn't the first one. I mean, there's been a lot. Reggie Bush has sued. A bunch of Michigan players have sued. I want to say some Ohio State players have too. So Chris Jenkins is just the latest. A lot of these haven't been successful. So we'll see what happens here. But yeah, it's just, it's just another example of how the NCAA was so late in allowing NIL and dollars to flow to athletes. And now we're kind of seeing it happen at a rapid pace right now in the transfer portal.
And Michael comments, says, looking forward to a different style play. IU has not been fun to watch for the last 8 years. And that's the truth. They had Archie Miller, which had zero offense whatsoever, and a defense that looked like it was looking for its head inside of its shorts each game in, game out. And then, of course, with Mike Woodson, we saw the 80s style basketball that was just, it looked like 80s style basketball. And now they're going to get, I hate to say this, but I'm going to fall back on one of my colleagues, Todd Leary, former IU player, played for Bob Knight, who compared DeVries' style sort of to Bob Knight's in that it's predicated on defense. Offensively, though, it's predicated on decision-making by the offensive players, which is what the motion offense was about, making your decision off of screens. But there was a lot of ball movement. And with more spacing now, I think you're going to see a lot more ball movement and a lot more shooting from Indiana than you've seen in the past.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Seeing the comments here, I do not have any insight on the remaining assistant spots right now. We'll try to dig in that today, though.
Yeah, most of those have been full. And earlier I talked about the GM spot. That is something that Indiana is going to fill, but I don't know that happens this year because they have so much going on right now. He's still trying to fill out his that final spot on the staff. I'm not sure if he's actually got the guy, and we just don't know that yet. But and also trying to fill a roster. I saw that LSU just hired let's see, Ronald Dupree, former Milwaukee Bucks global scouting director.
Yeah.
And I said that twice, global scouting director. Let those words sink in, because it's not going to be your favorite old IU basketball player. It's going to be somebody that has connections like you, connected to this game, connected into finding these players.
Yeah. When you look at a GM position now, it's so much. You got to evaluate talent. You have to put dollars together. You got to be able to step into a room and easily fundraise. And then more than all, you got to be able to negotiate with an agent and hold your ground, because if Indiana has $8 million to spend in the transfer portal, hypothetically, well, you can't spend all of that on just two players. I think we've seen, I'd say arguably in the last year, that the more veteran, depth heavy teams have gone deep in March Madness. And, I think it's a different type of basketball we're seeing in college basketball now with, the more experienced guys, and also the deeper teams making longer runs into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and you mentioned Indiana has a very, very healthy NIL budget. Now, and you can add to that the House settlement, which we're probably days away from, or maybe hours, who knows, from being approved, which will take effect on next year's roster as well.
Yeah. That might be a month away at this point. Yesterday didn't go perfectly for the NCAA, but it's happening. It's coming.
Yeah, it's definitely. But most teams don't have to rely on that from a basketball standpoint. When most programs, like Indiana, but I shouldn't say most will rely on that.
Yeah.
Indiana is not one that does. It will just be an added caveat for them that they can add and potentially add more players. But in this first team, what is crucial for Darren DeVries to get done here? He's got 3 guys locked in right now, and not including Trent Sisley, who is an incoming freshman.
Well, Jim, you know a little bit more about this than me, but I'd say that they need to finish up building the roster. And then the biggest thing in year one is just showing some improvement year over year to what he's taken over from Mike Woodson. So I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'd say, when you say the bar is to make the tournament.
Oh, that has to be a minimum, because that should be a minimum year in, year out. Yeah. And I know that Indiana fans can come off of having this air that they don't belong in anymore. They can't. That's how rabid their fan base is. Yeah. They doesn't matter. They keep chewing at the bone. So there's no doubt that making the tournament is the bottom, the bar. That competing for a Big Ten title and being competitive next year in the NCAA, I think would be a great place to start. I'm not saying anyone would expect them to, be a Final Four team. That not that it couldn't happen. You never know, but that's not an expectation. If anybody has that kind of an expectation, they're a little exuberant.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. But I mean, with the history of Indiana basketball, and obviously it hasn't been in a place where a lot of people want it to be. I'd say for DeVries to show the improvement everyone wants, I would agree that the bar has to be making the NCAA tournament and then making some noise in that opening weekend.
Well, without question, because it's something Indiana fans have not seen for so long, which is incredible to say for a program that was just so consistently good. And year in, year out, making the tournament was – it was just like a high school team in Indiana going to the sectional. Everybody got to go. And that's how it seemed. And boy, when you lose that, and you see other teams that don't have that tradition doing that, I'm sure it hits hard home for those fans.
For sure.
Who are some of the players that are also out there and available right now that Indiana could? I know you're not covering Indiana per se.
Yeah,
we're region of the country. There's a lot of guys out there. Who are some of the names that are getting hot now, especially since the title game is over?
Well, yeah, the top name right now is Jaden Quaintance, the Arizona State transfer, and that kind of shaping up to be like an Auburn and Kentucky battle. The Michigan State transfer, Trey Holloman, still on the block. He's visiting North Carolina, NC State, Villanova, and Baylor in the future. And then the Baylor guard, Rob Wright, announced yesterday he's going in the portal. He hasn't actually gone in yet, but that'll be another big domino. And then I saw someone mention in the comments like Aaron Bradshaw hasn't really done anything yet. He went in from Ohio State. I'm not exactly sure where he's going to end up and who wants him. He's been at Kentucky and Ohio State, and it hasn't exactly gone perfectly. So those are some of the bigger names left on the board at this point. And then you have the Ian Jackson went in yesterday from North Carolina. A lot of people see him landing at St. John's, but he could also just go to the NBA draft. And then RJ Lewis, the St. John's kid, entered the portal. He could easily go to the draft. No schools have really emerged as like a top contender yet because I think a lot of people are waiting to see if he's going to go to the draft.
Pete Nakos from On3. That'll wrap it up for this hour. Pete, if you got a few minutes, I'd like to take a quick break and come back, talk about a few other players. How are you sitting on time?
Yeah, I can do it. Sounds good.
Sounds great, buddy. We're back with more from the Hard Truth Distilling Company's studios right after. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Tuesday. Appreciate you being with us. Jim Coyle with you as always, joined by Pete Nakos from On3.com. Make sure you go to On3 for all of your content and coverage, especially to Hoosier.com, covering the Hoosiers and great people like Pete, providing some great inside information. I'm looking over On3's way too early top 25. One of my favorite things that is put out nowadays, and I'm joking about it. I hate way too early list. They're just ridiculous. With that caveat, I'll add, I did send out a tweet last night, I think, though, that said, is it too early to say Creighton is a top 5 team next year? My God, they've been on fire in the portal, although they're listed at 15th or 16th, actually, in On3's.
Well, they've lost some guys, too. Our portal rankings are a little different than like some other services where we try to factor in like the players they lost to. But, yeah, man, Creighton has done a hell of a job right now in the portal to this point.
And Illinois, always, I mean, Brad Underwood, I mean, he's like a magician. This side, it disappears. This side, it appears. It's like he just pulls up the sheet and boom, there's a new player that is incredible. Now he's got both of the Visich brothers together, which I loved watching Tomislav play. He was fun to watch. They did lose their main man, though, Kasper Jakashonis. Is he going the NBA route, I would assume?
I would assume. I'm just reading your comments here. Someone brought up Elijah Freeman. I don't know a ton on him right now. I know Kentucky's been in contact, and I know Indiana's been in contact.
Yeah, we'll talk about him with Alec Lasley later this week, unless something happens prior to that. But he is also one of the players that Indiana's looked at. Michigan State down there at 23rd. I'm kind of surprised by them being down there below UCLA, Wisconsin, Illinois. Let's see, Purdue, which amazes me that I guess no, they've got Trey Kaufman, Ren Fretch-Laurie, and Braden Smith back. Yeah. But they do lose not only Miles Colvin, but Heidi. Cam Heidi as well.
Michigan State's going to be really interesting. Like Tom Izzo hasn't really done a ton in the portal to this point. He's lost a lot of guys. I'm very interested to see how it all works out there.
Michigan, too. They got one of my favorite players from Illinois, Morez Johnson. I loved watching him play as a freshman, man. He's a little beast down there. But they have already added 4 guys to the roster.
Yeah.
And so our friend Dusty May is reloading.
So the big thing at Michigan is going to be is if the UAB transfer Axel Lindenborg. So he committed there, but he very well could still go to the NBA draft. But I think if Michigan is able to hold on to him, I mean, Michigan next year could be real scary in the Big Ten if Yaxel doesn't go to the NBA.
And if you can hear, you may not be able to, the little notifications, that's Pete's phone going off constantly because of information coming in. That's how it is. Unfortunately, if you're someone like Pete who lives with that ringing in your head. First of all, how did you get so entrenched? Because to be able to pull out the stories that you're able to pull out and make those contacts, that's not easy to do.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Jim, I've mainly done football to this point with the football transfer portal and trying to do the coaching carousel this past fall and stuff like that. But now trying to do what I can in basketball, and that's been a lot of fun too. And it's a lot of relationship building and trying to, obviously build up a network that I can rely on and build sources I can trust.
Well, speaking of football, Indiana, of course, in the midst of spring ball right now, and I know that I didn't bring you on to talk about that, but since I know that you're pretty knowledgeable about it, Indiana with that unbelievable breakout season under Kurt Signetti last season. Of course, expectations will be high in Bloomington again, which, first of all, saying that expectations are high for football, I don't know how long it will ever take me to get over that. I did go to school at IU, and I know all the history of IU football. But last year was crazy, but it was not a one-off. No. I keep saying that I think that this year's team will be a better team. I don't think that they'll have the same record. I think 10-2 is probably the top side for the regular season. But that is going to require Indiana to win at either Iowa, Oregon, or Penn State. But if they want to go back to the college football playoffs, they're going to have to win one of those games.
Yeah, but, I think the biggest offseason win for Indiana was getting Mendoza from Cal, Fernando Mendoza. I mean, that came down to the wire. I remember it popped on Christmas Eve, and that wasn't some. So he secretly visited Indiana. I'm sure you knew about this too, but he visited Indiana. It was kept on the DL, but then he snuck in a visit to Georgia, and then he was in Miami when he made his decision, and like a lot of people did not know where he was going. Even some people working with him didn't know where he was going until that very last minute. So I think that was a huge win. I've liked what they've continued to do. They got one of the Notre Dame offensive linemen who went in towards the end of the winter. That was a big one.
And then actually the guy that was from Tennessee, the tight end, I think was originally from Notre Dame as well, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, Kurt Signetti has continued to do everything he said he was going to do, and he's continued to build a roster this offseason through the transfer portal. And I think that's going to be crucial for Indiana to continue to win year over year. And, you're going to have those schools every year that are going to get like 3 5-star recruits or something like that. I don't know when Indiana gets to that point. I think it's safe to say, Jim, we can agree that they're not going to do it in the first 2 years of the Signetti era. So the way he's going to have to continue to win is in the portal, and he's proven to do that to this point. And man, the Big Ten is so interesting. It's so top loaded. You got like an Ohio State, a Penn State, Michigan, Oregon, and then Indiana. And we haven't said that in a very long time. And I know it's started to happen in a recent year. So I would say it can happen this year.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Fernando not knowing where he might wind up. The great thing for Indiana is his brother Alberto Mendoza, his younger brother, who followed him in Miami in high school. It was the Fernando show for 2 years or however, and then it was the Alberto show. I think that is going to unfold in Bloomington as well. I think Fernando is going to lead this team for the next 2 years, and then Alberto will be in his third season by then, I think, on campus. So he will be ready. It's either now or never by then. Once you've been in the program by 3 years, if you're not ready, then you're not the guy. Yeah. But I think that you're going to see the Mendoza show for the next 4 years at Indiana. And that's a good thing because A, it's continuity. B, we know what Fernando did last year, throwing for over 3,000 yards while getting sacked 41 times. So even Indiana's line did not give up those kind of numbers. I think that Curtis Work may have went down maybe 15 times all season. Yeah, I'll have to look that up, but it was a lot less. So, and like you talked about, they beefed up the offensive line. They brought in Roman Hemby in the backfield as well. Yep. You've got Omar Cooper Jr. back, Elijah Surratt, EJ Williams. They did lose Tyler Harris in the slot spot, which was hard, but they've got the portal and time to replace him.
Yeah. Well, they're definitely going to have to hit the wide receiver room hard in the portal. That's definitely going to be an area or a point of emphasis during the portal. And then, looking at their schedule right here, they don't play Ohio State. Now, I know that they're at Oregon and they're also at Penn State, but they don't have Michigan.
And at Iowa.
Yeah, at Iowa too. And I'm really intrigued to see what Iowa can do, especially with the
new quarterback.
Mark Renaud. Yeah. So Iowa is a team that's going to be interesting to watch. Now, the other thing too is someone mentioned Nebraska here. I'm fascinated to see how it all kind of works out at Nebraska.
Somebody's under the gun in Lincoln.
Yeah, but Dylan Raiola had a pretty strong freshman year. They've tried to address the wide receiver position. Hardly Gilmore just left the team, so there's still some spots that Matt Rule is going to have to figure out. But Nebraska, in the same vein as Indiana, is probably playing some of their better football than they have in recent memory.
Well, without question. And I predict this prediction stuff is dumb, but so I don't know why I'm going to ask this. But you stay in touch with all of what's going on, and you've seen the schedule. Do you think 10-2 is a doable mark for that Indiana team? This Indiana.
Let's see.
Because going to be tough. I get that. Trust me, they
doable.
have to win a road game.
Now, it's doable. I don't know if it's a gimme by any means, but it's definitely.
Oh, no.
And that non-conference slate definitely helps them out to get to that 10-2.
And the fact that 8-4 is probably the bottom line of what I think that they will be, that again, in and of itself is insane to say, because there have been so few 8-win seasons for Indiana still. And for that to be a bottom mark looked at is an incredible thought. But what a great time for this to be happening, because it's kind of either get with the program in football or get off the pot for programs and schools. And buddy, Indiana about missed the party. They got there just in time because this train is kind of leaving the station.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, we talk about revenue sharing and everything, and there's going to be a lot of schools who choose to go be a basketball school and be a football school, that they're going to disperse revenue. And Kurt Signetti arrived at the right time if Indiana is going to be a football school. So I know Indiana is always going to be a basketball school at heart, but the with how revenue sharing is going to work out, and then what they did last year, I think Indiana football is definitely in a good position to continue to win in the years ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it, man. What is up next for you?
Well, in exactly 8 days, the college football transfer portal opens for this. So, yeah, it's trying to wrap up basketball, see what that looks like, and then get into football, and then catch my breath in May.
And Indiana, what do you think that they're, from the outside, their biggest needs might be now, other than filling that slot position?
Yeah, definitely wide receiver. I like what the running back room kind of looks like right now. I don't think you can ever have too many linemen on either side of the ball. So I think that if they can add anyone there, that'll be big. And then, that's kind of it for me. That secondary might be one of the better ones of the Big Ten. So there aren't a ton of needs there.
Yeah, Indiana's very fortunate defensively. They have a rarity of having anchors of an All-American on the line with why I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden. You've got Aiden Fisher at linebacker and D'Angelo Pons in the secondary. Daggone it. Oh, man, who am I forgetting there on the edge? An All-American. Anyway, I'll come up with it. My brain is not working great, but to be anchored like that, an All-American on the line, an All-American at the backers, and an All-American in the backfield, that's a greatly solidified defense.
Yeah.
And then of course their coach is not doing a bad job either.
No, not at all. But yeah, no, I really interested to see what Indiana looks like next year.
Looking forward to it. Pete Nakos from On3.com. Cannot thank you enough as always, brother. Look forward to doing it again.
You bet. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Pete Nakos from On3.com. Make sure you go to thehoosier.com now with On3 for complete coverage of all things that are going on, breaking news and stories like from Pete and Joe Tipton and Steve Wiltfong and many, many others. Go to thehoosier.com, subscribe. It's $1 for the first month, and then only 50% off for the rest of the year. It's like $5 a month. But go support those guys. It allows us to provide great content to you. Would appreciate you greatly if you did. Hello, everyone. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you, as always, for listening to our content. But for more in-depth coverage on the Indiana Hoosiers football, basketball, and recruiting news, go to thehoosier.com On3. Now with On3 and great national writers like Ari Wasserman, Andy Staples, and Steve Wiltfong for football. Pete Nakos, J.B. Shaw, and Joe Tipton's constantly breaking stories on the basketball side. And the local coverage from Alec Lasley, Kyler Staley, and Zach Browning. You can catch something new every day at thehoosier.com. Go there. Sign up today.